So we come here, and for the new people, you might wonder, why are all these people at the altar? Why are all these people doing what we're doing? Why are they doing this? Well, that's the reason that we do what we do. We come up here and we jump and we yell and we scream and we do all this stuff because we know what God's brought us through. You know what I mean? We know what's going on. Whenever you're the first time here and you see that girl get up and run, she's running because she just got delivered from something mental, from that abuse that just took place. She's running laps. That's what we're here doing. That's the reason that we come here. That's the reason that we come here and we worship hard. Because not only are we up here worshiping because we just got free to something, we just got free to something, but we're going to worship that much harder so that everybody back there can also get delivered too. That's what we're doing. We are going to worship. When the praises go up, his glory comes down. And that's what we're trying to do in this place. That's the reason that we stand up here and that we hold our hands up high. I know some people in here. Okay, I personally know them outside of this place. Jails, prisons, institutes, the streets. There is no reason. You can't make it make sense that they are sitting in the church house right now. You can't make it make sense. You can't. I know them. I personally know them. I got a good friend. I'm not going to point him out, sitting in here right now. There ain't no reason nobody in this world can make it make sense. You know what I mean? That he's sitting in this place right now. I met him in like 2017. Hey, he's wild. But he's here and he's doing good. And all right, let's get to this. You all can you can sit down now. I just wanted to yes. Yeah. Go ahead, have at it.
So the Lord's speaking to me right now, and those of you that got to go to the revival last weekend or a few weekends back, one of the pastors said, the devil don't mind you being out here. He put a danger sign up, and he put it across right here. The devil don't mind you going to church, but he knows where the battles are won, and it's right here on the front line. Not on any church do you see a no trespassing a sign. The danger do not enter. Violators will be thrown in prison. You don't see that on any church because God welcomes all. He welcomes all. We are the children of God, and he wants us right here because right here is where the battle is won. Thank you.
There's excitement. There's excitement in what the Lord is doing in us. That's the reason that we worship like we do. So what, you really think that it was the paramedics that brought you back this last time? Are you serious? You wasn't breathing. You was not even breathing. Okay? And you think that it was the paramedics that brought you back? The great physician, so he breathed the breath of life into Adam's nostrils, and Adam came alive, okay? But yet you think that it was the paramedics that brought you back. It wasn't no paramedic that brought you back. That's the reason these people up here worshiping, they've had that revelation that it wasn't no paramedics, it wasn't no, what's that stuff called? Narcan. It wasn't no Narcan that brought you back. It was the breath of life that brought you back. You wasn't breathing. All right, here we go. Into our, what we're going to talk about. I was just thinking, I don't know why it came back to me. You want your kids set free? It all starts with you, and it all starts up here at this altar. I was absolutely garbage dad, man. And I'm down here. The songs come on because of the worship that me and my wife have done, and being able to come in here and people praying over us and stuff. My son, before the music even starts, he's already pushing me up here. You know what I mean? He's laying his hands on my head. I didn't teach him to do that. He's been watching what goes on here because we worship. We're a worshiping church. I've never saw nobody worship like him. You know what I mean? He's wild. And that's because we come up here and worship. I can't express it enough. How much the worship means. And I'm not beating up on anybody. If you'd like to sit back there and do your thing, do your thing. And the chains broke off even the prisoners that was watching, you know. And that's where we're at here. We sought through prayer and meditation to improve our conscious contact with God as we understood him, praying only for knowledge of his will and the power to carry it out. Step 11. Step 11. Some of you are walking in what they call the permissible will of God. You have the perfect will of God and the permissible will of God. At some point, we made a decision to walk out of the perfect will of God and into drug addiction, whatever it may be. You know what I mean? And we decided to go wild. I use drug addiction because that's majority of us here. But we can talk about... Hi, Adam. I'm sorry, bud. We can talk. It can be anything. Walk out of the will of God, playing too many video games. You walk out of, the will of God. At some point, we made a decision to walk out of the perfect will of God, and finally, we decide that we need God. We step back into relationship with him. We are in the permissible will of God. That means that God, we are all human. We have all made a decision to turn away from God. We have free choice, free will, to do what we want to do. But when we step back into relationship with him and we are walking it out with him, we are walking in the permissible will of God. The only reason that I bring up the permissible will of God is because almost all of us in here are walking in the permissible will of God. That means that we've been allowed to decide to make our own choices. Now we're back in relationship. We're working towards relationship with Jesus, but we will still have the consequences of walking outside of the will of God. Okay, we are all in that. Hold on, let me rephrase that. We are all walking in the permissible will of God, but the good thing about the permissible will of God is that it ends and meets in the perfect will of God. Okay, so even though you're going through this hard time right now and you're thinking, man, I'm walking with the Lord, I still got all these consequences and all this stuff going on, and I've been delivered from this, you have been delivered of it, but the remnants of some of that is still in your spirit, in your flesh, and so we have to get rid of that too. But eventually the permissible will of God lines up to the perfect will of God. I ask the question all the time, and we really got into it deep today about what is God's will for your life. I get a lot of different answers, usually based on how long the person has been in recovery or been walking with the Lord. New people will answer, well, I think I'm supposed to live in such and such town, and I'm supposed to have such and such job, and that is true. That is the will, the will of God, okay, is that you are working where he wants you to work and living and you're doing his work inside of all that. That is the will of God. Who I think that I'm supposed to marry her, and you might get all of that. You might get the job that you think is in the will of God, and you might get the house and the wife or the husband. You might get all that and still not be in the will of God. How can you be in the will of God and not know God? That's where I'm at. Okay, that's the real question of where I'm at. So you can say, well, the Lord is blessing me. I am blessed. I have the car, I have the house, I have ahead of my notes. I have all this stuff. I have to be in the will of God. And you can be completely out of the will of God. Okay? Not everything that looks like a blessing is a blessing. Uh, uh, you have to ask yourself whenever you're thinking, we're talking here, we're talking Lighthouse right here. Did the enemy put that job or girl in my life to pull me out of the will of God? We see it happen every single day. Every single day we see that happen. How do I find out God's will for my life? Hey, that's enough. How do I find out God's will for my life? David said, the one thing I ask the Lord, the thing I seek most is to live in the house of the Lord all the days of my life, delighting in the Lord's perfections and meditating in his temple. David found joy in meditating on the word. He found joy in meditating on the word. He wanted in the temple every single day. So I'm just throwing this out there, okay? We're in the will of God. David says, I enjoy going and doing this, but yet devotion rolls around at 7 o'clock in the morning and we're all mad that we got to go to devotion. But hey, we're in the will of God. Those things don't add up right there. That don't add up. With David said, I was glad unto me when they said, coming to the house of the Lord, and then he said, I'd like to delight and meditate on his word. And we get mad at 7 a.m. 6:45. 6:45, we get mad about that. So we're really walking in the will of the Lord. Are we really walking in that? Prayer and meditation to improve our conscious contact with God, praying only knowledge for his will. It starts with prayer. You might say that I don't know how to pray, and you might not know how to pray a lick. I didn't know nothing. When I first came to this thing, I was young. I was 18 when I first came to the Lighthouse, 20 years ago. Whenever I first came to the Lighthouse, and I didn't know how to pray at all. Okay? And as time went on, I watched and I listened. It says, imitate me as I imitate Christ. That's the word. Okay, Paul says, imitate me as I imitate Christ. So we went to a strict apostolic church over in Vincennes, and I would watch the old timers, the stuff that they would do, and I would imitate them as they imitated Christ. I would learn to come to the altar, and they would get out their handkerchiefs, and I thought, man, I'm cool. I got a suit on and a Bible and a handkerchief and wave it around. I had no clue what it meant. You know what I mean? I had no clue that I was coming up there and surrendering my life to the Lord. I would watch them pray, and some of them roll around, and but they were worshiping the Lord. And so to get to prayer, it is literally just talking. Prayer is just talking. It don't have to be no elaborate. Yeah, there you go. I can't even say the word. So it don't have to be nothing like that. You know what I mean? It can be, I've had a tough day today. Lord, you got to help me with this. It is literally sitting there talking just like you're talking to a friend. He said it's closer than a brother. You're literally talking. Stop it. As your prayers go on and as you get more in depth and you start to learn who God is and walking in his will, walking in his will, your prayers will get more in depth. You'll start knowing what to pray. The most powerful prayer I ever prayed was 5 words, and I prayed it inside a jail cell in 2018. And Joe Smith was there, and it was the most powerful prayer that I ever prayed in my life, and it was, Jesus, I need your help. That was the most powerful prayer I've ever prayed in my entire life, and it changed. It changed the trajectory of my life. It really did. Is that to say that I've walked it out perfect since then? Absolutely not. Far from it. Not even close. Not even, stop. Not even close. So yeah, prayer is just talking to God. What's on your heart, what you're struggling with, how your day was. It is literally, you guys come in my office all day long and talk. It is exactly the same. You get down and you can lay down, you can drive your car, you can work on something, you can work on your boat, you can whatever. Literally whatever. All you have to do is just sit there and talk. Hey, Lord, I'm struggling today, man. You know, that's how some of them started out. I had no clue the reverence to the Lord. You know, that comes with time. I'm sitting there calling him, hey, man, you know, and I'm talking to the person that created the whole entire universe. You know what I mean? And I'm just sitting there just kicking it with him, you know. So it's fine. It will come. The prayer will come. So prayer and meditation. In prayer, we talk to God. In Bible studies, God talks to us. Meditation is putting the process of prayer and listening together. We pray, we read, we think. It puts us in relationship with God. We are thinking over what we read, letting every word sink into our spirit. So I know some people that will sit and read a chapter, or 2 chapters, or 3 chapters, okay? But I also know some people that will pick out 2 verses, pray over those 2 verses, read those 2 verses, and read those 2 verses, and read those 2 verses until every single word of those 2 verses are ingrained in their spirit, you know. So let's just keep going. Here's the will of God in your life. The number one thing God wants in your life, and it is not material things. It is not the wife. It is not nothing to do with anything else. We have that confused. Okay, we have that confused. We come in, and I know that everybody wants to work, to make money, provide for your family, do all that stuff. Okay, and that is all fine and dandy that you do all that, okay? But the number one thing God wants is for you to get to know him personally. That is the will of God. Nothing else matters. Nothing else matters. It doesn't matter if you got the car, the house, the woman. It doesn't matter what you have. If you do not have a personal relationship with him, all of that stuff will be gone. For us, I'm speaking for us as a group, myself included, okay? If I don't walk this thing out, this church lighthouse thing out, lock your doors. And I'm being for real. I'm being 100% honest. If I don't walk this thing out and put him first and do all that stuff and pray, seek his will for my life, lock your doors, because I'm not a good person. My flesh gets a hold, and I'm not a good person. I'll just say that, and we'll leave it at that. So how do we get in that personal relationship? We just talked about it. Prayer, reading, meditation. So we say, we're in the will of God. And so then I say, well, who is God? And we call him Jehovah Jireh. Okay? We call him Jehovah Jireh. Why do we call him Jehovah Jireh? My provider. Where did you guys learn that he's my provider? Where'd you learn that in the Bible? And I'm not trying to like say anything. That we listen to a song and we're like, Jehovah Jireh, my provider. You know what I mean? Where did you get it? From the revelation of actually meditating on what it means. Okay, it's not Jehovah Jireh, my provider of a new job and a new all this stuff. It's of my wants and needs. You know, Abraham was getting ready to sacrifice his only son on the altar, knife up, ready to go. Was getting ready to sacrifice him. God yelled, "Stop!" And there was a ram in the bush for the sacrifice that needed to take place. Okay, and he calls out Jehovah Jireh, you know, my provider, the provider of the need that was needed right then. Okay, it's not your personal gain provider. You know, it's not Jehovah Jireh, my personal gain provider. No, it was the provider of his needs is what he needed right then. We say Jehovah Rapha. But why do we say it? How the Israelites just made it through the Red Sea, and the sea came back together, drowning the Egyptians. As they went on, they had nothing to drink, so Moses went to God in prayer, and the Lord said, "Throw this piece of wood into the water, and it'll be sweet." And the Lord said, "If you listen to my voice and follow my commands, I will not bring the disease upon you that I brought up on the Egyptians, because I am your healer," Jehovah Rapha. Okay, but when we walk in the will of God, that becomes revelation to us. It ain't just a story. We know that God is healing. He's not the healer, he is healing, just like he is love and is the provider of our needs. You know, that is walking in the will of God. Whenever you pray, you read, and you get the revelation of it, that is walking in the will of God. Yeah, it's very cool to be walking in the will of God, and then all these blessings come, true blessings that came from the will of God. Like, that's really cool, okay? But you have to be walking in the will of God, the knowledge of God, of learning who he is, of reading and praying to actually, he's the blessing, yeah. You know, all that other stuff is not a blessing. The money in your pocket is not a blessing. Jehovah Shalom, the God of peace. Jehovah Nisi, the Lord is my banner. El Shaddai, Lord God Almighty. This is the will of God, that we would know him by name. That is the will of God, that we would be so personal with him that we know that he is our provider. You know, and somebody might say, well, I can't remember all those names. That's fine. That's fine. Have the revelation of this, that his name is Jesus. You know, that's the revelation. His name is Jesus. Okay? So it don't matter when you come down here and pray and you've had the revelation that he is my provider and I am in need of something. I am in need of deliverance. I'm in need of his protection. I'm in need of all this stuff. Okay, you don't have to remember Jehovah Jireh. You don't have to remember that. You just got to remember that his name is Jesus and he is my provider. And you have that revelation and you start speaking that stuff into existence. Numbers 14:28. As surely as I live, declares the Lord, I will do unto you the very things that I heard you say. Okay, and you come up here and you're like, God, I need some protection. And he's thinking, I am surely not dead. I am alive and I will protect you because I said that I would, you know. So I'm not going to hold you guys hostage. We're going to, yeah, well, I'm out of notes, and then I'm going to start freestyling. We're going to start freestyling. Go ahead.